What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And I've waited to make this video because nothing was official. There have been a bunch of rumors, and rumors kind of got to take with a grain of salt because you don't know if it's true or not. So literally as of 20 minutes ago, the press conference has concluded. This is now happening. I have a lot of questions, but this is happening. And so in order to get through what I want to get through, we're going to hit my intro. This is another quick introduction. We're going to hit our intro. We're going to dive into this article that the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 all put out. So here's my intro, then we're going to start. Let's get it. All right, so I just want to make sure I have this article up. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my phone right here with the article pulled up, just to let you all know that I'm literally reading all of this from the actual article. So let's dive in. The ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 today announced an historic alliance that will bring 41 world-class institutions together on a collaborative approach surrounding the future evolution of college athletics and schedule. The alliance was unanimously supported by the presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors at all 41 schools. So every school that's currently in these three conferences, their president, chancellor, and athletic director agreed. It will be guided in all cases by a committee to and prioritization of supporting student athlete well-being, academic and athletic opportunities. Academics being first is probably the most important little part right there. These three conferences are grounded in their support of broad-based athletic programs, the collegiate model, opportunity for student athletes as part of the educational missions of the institutions. The three conferences remain competitors in every sense, but are committed to collaborating and providing thought leadership on various opportunities and challenges facing college athletics, including student athlete mental and physical health, safety, wellness, and support. I'm glad that is first because, with the Olympics, we have seen a more focus being put on mental health, strong academic experience and support, which I believe they said throughout these three conferences, out of the 41 schools, they said at least like 28 of them are all AAU. And apparently this AAU is some big research group. But basically if you're a research institution, you'll get grant money. And by grant money, I mean billions of grant money. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, social justice, gender equity, future structure of the NCAA, federal legislative efforts, postseason championships, and future formats, which is probably the biggest point on this. The alliance includes a scheduling component for football and women's and men's basketball. Okay. Designed to create new inter-conference games, enhance opportunity for student athletes, and optimize the college athletics experience for both student athletes and fans across the country. The scheduling alliance will begin as soon as practical while honoring current contractual obligations. So, do they mean it's part of like the scheduling, or does this not taking place anytime soon because of the ACC? Their grant of rights doesn't end with ESPN until 2036. This probably has more to do with scheduling, especially the schools that have literally by law, you have to face your rival. Literally by law. A working group comprised of athletic directors representing the 3 conferences, including determining the criteria upon which scheduling decisions will be made. All 3 leagues and their respective institutions understand that scheduling decisions will be an evolutionary process given current scheduling commitments. The Football Scheduling Alliance will feature additional attractive matchups across the 3 conferences while continuing to honor historic rivalries and the best traditions of college football. It's more than likely has to do with Notre Dame right here, because Notre Dame has a lot of rivalries with the Big Ten and the Pac-12, and probably some budding ones with the ACC. So this probably is a way in for Notre Dame in that aspect. So in women's and men's basketball, the 3 conferences will add early and mid-season games as well as annual events that feature premier matchups between the 3 leagues. So I'm guessing because in basketball they have the Big Ten and ACC challenge, where the best of the Big Ten will go up against the best of the ACC, and vice versa down the entire conference. I'm guessing they're just adding the Pac-12 to that arrangement in terms of women's and men's basketball, because it's easier from a scheduling and probably from a logistics standpoint for basketball games to be scheduled than football. You know what I'm saying? So the 3 conferences will also explore opportunities for the vast exceptional Olympic sports programs to compete more frequently and forge additional attractive and meaningful rivalries. So with the Olympic sports, it's probably like track and field, more track and field meets among the 3 conferences, more gymnastic meets among the 3 conferences, more volleyball. So they're not trying to shut off the non-money makers in terms of collegiate sports. They're not trying to shut off they're not just trying to make the collegiate model only be football and men's basketball, because those are the 2 money makers, especially football. These Olympic sports matter, especially to the Pac-12. Like if you just look at the Pac-12, most of the people who won those medals came from a Pac-12 school. Like the Pac-12 is known to be an Olympic conference, especially USC and Stanford. Like they're always represented well in the Olympics. So the Olympics, I'm glad they're not shutting off the Olympics. The Olympic sports, the men's and women's basketball scheduling is interesting. So we're going to see probably a Big Ten Pac-12 challenge, a Pac-12 ACC challenge. We're going to see challenges between the 3 leagues, and just more national televised games. The football one is interesting because of the scheduling, because they make their schedule so far out in advance. I don't know when that'll take place, because the ACC still has their grant of rights with ESPN until 2036. As far as contractual obligations, I'm pretty sure they mean that the football games that are already scheduled, that have already been, agreed upon, out of conference games. That's not the rivalries. So that's kind of what I'm getting from that. Now let's talk about the press conference. There was a couple points in the press conference that had me worried. Just as a fan, there's no contract, just a gentleman's agreement. I don't know, because they're probably still trying to work out the kinks. I hope they have a written agreement down soon, so that their word can actually mean something and not just, end up getting backstabbed like what happened with the Big 12. Because I'm pretty sure Bob Bowlesby and Greg Sankey had a gentleman's agreement, and Bob Bowlesby got backstabbed and betrayed. So that no contract part sounds real iffy. And they probably said in the nicest way possible that we want the Big 12 to matter, but you just don't bring enough to the alliance. And I believe this is the reason why I believe the Big 12 is not in the alliance, is because the Big 12 is going to do everything possible to keep Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 until their contract runs out in 25-26. So with that in mind, why, if I'm a member of these three conferences, would I bring the Big 12 in if two of these schools are already leaving to the SEC? Like they're already agreed upon. They're leaving the Big 12, and if we're talking about creating attractive matchups that really pop on a national TV scale, like let's say a USC versus Ohio State versus Clemson, North Carolina versus Michigan, Washington versus Michigan is actually going to be a big audience game. But like let's say Oregon, Ohio State is going to be a big game this year. So from those three conferences, if the money makers, aka Texas and Oklahoma, are leaving the Big 12, and this is no disrespect to the Big 12 schools, what is their added value, and especially dependent upon how much money those schools are going to be losing once Texas and Oklahoma leave? Because in one of those Senate hearings with the Big 12 commissioner, he said himself that Texas and Oklahoma earn half of the Big 12, media share. So if they earn half that media share, and they have 8 schools left in that other half, how much is each school getting? So it's just a matter of the Big 12 is a dying conference. Like, the Big 12 has no choice at this point but to add schools from the Mountain West. They have no choice. If they want to survive as a Power 5 conference, they have no choice. Because I guarantee you, if they do nothing, and the Alliance, poaches, let's say Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas, Baylor, Tech, the remnants of the Big 12 is asking to be picked apart, basically. So the press conference didn't really get into specifics like I had wanted to, but this is probably just more so of a wait and see approach, because it's so brand new. They just agreed upon this alliance, and they're trying to get all the kinks out. Now, what is interesting in regards to the playoffs is that they're probably going to delay the playoffs until their contract with ESPN runs out, which I believe is also in 25 and 26, which is why the SEC was trying to stack the deck. See, I see the vision. If the SEC was trying to push through an expanded playoffs with no limits of how many teams in your conference can get into playoffs, what's to say that outside of the other 3 conference championships, the rest of the board would have been SEC teams if you add Texas and Oklahoma? Everybody would have been screwed there. People are not realizing that, because if ESPN is basically hand in hand with the SEC, they would have just selected all the SEC schools being 6 through 12. Let's be honest. ESPN would definitely do something like that for ratings. They definitely would. So I really believe they're going to delay the playoff expansion until it goes to the open market. So Fox, CBS, the New World Order, aka Amazon and Apple, can start their bidding so that they can host playoff games. They can host the talk shows. So it's going to be a real interesting to see how this plays out. I'm excited because it's just all brand new to college football. We're heading into uncharted territory. But if you made this far, I hope you like the video. Make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button for your boy. I'm Shooter Gamer. I'm signing out. See you next time in the next video.